Hello everyone, my name is Yana Allen and this is Chapter 12, Cinema Technologies. Now I've uploaded this PowerPoint into Blackboard, but you can actually follow along in the video as we go through the presentation. Now let's take a look at some background information on cinema technology. Now, from the 1870s forward, there was not one single innovation that helped to create what we call film today. There were actually several technological advancements that helped to produce that. One enhancement was to still photography. Another was the invention of the zoopraxiscope. Now, if you'll take a look on screen, here is an example of a spinning zoopraxiscope. There it goes. Now, a zoopraxiscope is simply a lantern that helps to produce the illusion of movement as it spins. Now, plastic, electricity, and incandescent light bulbs also helped in the advancement of eventually film. They all helped to project moving pictures. Now, one key idea to keep in mind about the film industry is that there was very little, if any, government regulation. In 1922, the Motion Picture Association of America was formed as a governing body, and by 1968, the movie rating system was created, in which we're all very familiar with today. Now, some of the key inventions of the movie industry was Thomas Edison's kinetoscope in 1894. Now, a kinetoscope was a coin-operated machine that allowed an individual to watch a short film. Now, the very next year, the Lumiere brothers invented the cinematograph in 1895, and actually, December 28, 1895, is credited as being the birthday of cinema. Now, this invention was actually one of the first projection machines. Thomas Edison, again, was close behind with his vitascope in 1896, and it was a very similar creation to the Lumiere brothers' cinematoscope. Now, if we take a look at production in the early 1900s, some of the production companies were in 1908, the Motion Picture Patents Company was formed. Now, this was a group of individual equipment manufacturers who sold things such as raw film and distributed them through any channel that they had available to them. In 1910, the General Film Company was created, and they integrated production, distribution, and exhibition methods. They found that this integration could be highly profitable. Now, as far as technology goes, sound really revolutionized film. In 1910s, Bell Labs actually created a prototype of loudspeakers and sound amplifiers, and eventually this helped lead to Warner Brothers creating The Jazz Singer, which was the first film using sound. Color was also another advancement that helped to enhance film. In 1939, the CinemaScope was used, and it made color more widely available. Now, this was not the only technology available for color in film at the time or previous to that. However, it didn't have as many problems as other technologies did. Now, if you'll take a look at the screen, that's just a picture of a film that made use of the CinemaScope technology. As we take a look at distribution and exhibition from the early 1900s and beyond, as far as distribution goes, back then you could use a small investment in a projection machine to yield large profits. Hypothetically, if you owned a projection machine, you could set up a few chairs around, charge admission, and be able to turn a profit by showing a film. Permanent theaters, though, became reliable businesses for distributors to sell to. There was always a constant need to be the first in town to show the best and most entertaining films. Many times, theaters would compete to be able to be the first venue to show certain films. As far as exhibition is concerned, permanent cinemas were needed as film length and popularity increased. Now, the benefits to having permanent cinemas were that they were inexpensive for people to attend, and it provided year-round entertainment. So it was easily accessible for the everyday person. As mentioned before, the sound revolutionized the film industry, and by the late 1920s, almost half of all theaters in America were wired for sound. Now, in the 1930s, however, multi-theater houses became popular. If you'll take a look at the picture there, that was a dual-screen movie theater, and this actually just provided moviegoers with choices of films to watch. So rather than going to see the only film that a certain theater had, you had a choice between two films that that theater provided. And this provided viewers with a real movie-going experience that they could not get from, early versions of television, radio, and other forms of entertainment at the time. Now, if we skip ahead to digital projection in 1999, now this really improved the viewer experience even more so. It made things simpler, faster, and cheaper for distribution. Now, as we move on to recent developments from the late 1990s and beyond, we'll take a look at production. Now, digital production made for smaller and lighter cameras. It also was cheaper for low-budget filmmakers to create content. It drastically lowered the editing and production costs as well. As far as innovations are concerned, digital 3D formats have become very popular, but it does require theaters to have special technology to be able to show the film properly, so whether that's a projection system or a special kind of screen. Now, if you'll take a look at my video here, here are some 3D glasses for a recent 3D film that I had attended, and it also requires the audience to have special technology as well. So CGI is another form of technology that is widely used nowadays. If you'll take a look in the photo on screen, that's a photo of Finding Nemo, which was a very popular CGI film in 2003. Now, CGI is very labor and cost intensive, but it does create an experience on screen that is very, very difficult to reproduce in reality to create in film. Now, as we look at distribution and exhibition in the recent developments, digital exhibition conversion is a very important trend. It's drastically reduced the cost in storage and shipping. Now, previous to this, 35mm canisters first had to be produced, then shipped, returned, and then stored, and this was a very costly process. Nowadays, with the use of hard drives and disks and satellite technology, we can distribute and or store films or other information much quicker and in a much more cost-effective manner. Now, some of the concerns associated with this is the risk of storage format failure or of some of that information being rewritten or wiped clean from a disk, for example, or the risk of devices becoming obsolete. Now, if we want to take an example from sound technology, just look at 8-tracks to cassette tapes to CDs, and we obviously use MP3s today. And as that technology has enhanced and advanced, some of the older technologies have become obsolete. So it's the same problem that the film industry faces with the conversion to digital formats. So currently, films are produced in both formats to be able to prevent any loss of information, but also for safekeeping. Now, there's another concept with online distribution that is available today, and that basically is direct distribution to the consumer via the internet. Now, this provides viewers with instant access through websites and applications such as iTunes. Cinema advertising has also become popular. with digital formats becoming much cheaper and much more cost-effective, it's an attractive method for advertisers to create pre-show advertisements to reach movie-going audiences. Now, this is not only good for the advertisers, but it does create revenue for the film industry, and more specifically, theater owners. Now, another recent development that's important to note are the audio enhancements that have been made. Things such as the THX surround sound systems and 3D sound have become very important to the movie experience. Now, these formats have been made to enhance the movie experience for audiences. So the placement of speakers or the use of sound is allowing the audience to be surrounded by the entire movie experience. It allows them to feel like they're a part of the film. Now, as we skip ahead to the next slide, Cinema Today, 2000s onward, we'll take a look at the chart of movie distribution methods and revenue. Now, if you'll take a look at the first box listed, that is the domestic box office, and it goes to the home video, pay-per-view and video on demand, premium pay channels, network and cable TV, syndication, international box office, and international licensing for broadcast stations, networks, and pay TV. Now, if you'll take a look at the numbers listed below those headers, you can see that the film industry is a very, very lucrative business. There's a lot of money to be made in the film industry, but there are various ways that it goes about that now. With technology enhancing the way it has, people don't have to go to theaters to be able to have their video entertainment. People are very used to being able to watch films at home now on their TV through home videos or through the pay-per-view and pay channels. It's become very commonplace now, so that is a very important part of the film industry. And if you consider some of the numbers listed there, theaters, yes, are a very important part of this chain. However, home video and possibly even network and cable television can provide quite a venue for films as well. Now, as we take a look at Cinema Today, which is the 2000s onward again, we'll take a look at some of the trends and challenges facing the film industry. Now, one of the trends recently has been a steady increase of ticket prices, and now that could be due to several different factors, such as economic factors, or perhaps even the costs of producing films, but also the cost to theater owners to keep up with technology, such as with screens and sound and projection technology as it is available. There's also been a growth of IMAX theaters across the country and an increase in popularity of 3D movies. Both of these formats are growing in popularity, and they're really there to help enhance the viewer experience of a film. Online ticketing is another trend that is taking place. It allows audiences to purchase their tickets in advance of arriving to the theater, and many times these online ticketing websites oftentimes are owned by chains of theater owners or companies, and is another venue for competition in that way. Now, some of the challenges facing cinema and the film industry today are economic factors. For example, in 2008, movie ticket sales actually dropped nationally before climbing again in 2009. Now, a lot of people believe that the recession may have had an effect on this, and that it halted the ticket sales before resuming as people wanted to escape from their financial issues. And as everyone knows, theater is one way to be able to get lost in another world for a few hours. Some of the other challenges facing cinema today are the price to upgrade theaters to accommodate digital and other formats. The price to upgrade to a digital projector has been as high as $65,000, for example. The price to upgrade to a 3D digital screen could cost $100,000, and these are each numbers per screen. So as you can see, it's quite costly for theater owners to keep up with technology, as it is very expensive. There's also been an increase in entertainment alternatives from music and television, things such as this, the internet, video games. That just creates an alternative for the typical movie-going viewer. Now, another factor is movie piracy, and this has become a relatively recent issue. People distributing films online for free, which is actually costing the film industry millions, perhaps billions of dollars. With the use of the internet, piracy will likely continue to be an issue that will face the film industry. Now, as we finish up here, the main question to think about is, as technology improves, what are the main benefits and challenges faced by the movie industry to switch to digital formats? Now, I hope you've enjoyed this presentation on cinema technologies. Thank you very much.